Ria sat at her desk, staring at the empty space on her shelf where Amina's photo used to stand. Every morning, she woke up hoping to see Amina's message light up her phone, but the screen stayed dark. Amina had moved to another country 6 months ago, chasing her dream of studying medicine. Ria was proud of her friend, but pride did not fill the hollow ache in her chest. She missed the long walks home, the late-night laughs, and the shared dreams she once carried with Amina. Now, every corner of her apartment reminded her of what had slipped away. Each day, Ria tried to think of something new to say. She drafted messages on her phone, wrote entire paragraphs, then deleted them all. What did she say to someone who was so far away? How could she bridge the miles with words? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as doubts crowded her mind. Maybe Amina had moved on. Maybe she was too busy with classes and new friends. Ria shook her head. She refused to believe that their friendship could vanish. Humanity might be small in the vast galaxy, but she held on to the power of human connection. She summoned her courage and typed one simple line, "How are you today?" Then she erased it. It felt too weak. That afternoon, Ria walked through her old neighborhood. The sun was gentle, the sky a bright blue, but her heart felt leaden. She passed the bakery where they used to share cinnamon rolls, and the park bench where they whispered secrets. Each familiar sight reminded her of laughter and warmth. Other people smiled and greeted her, but she felt invisible. She wanted to reach out to feel that closeness again. She remembered Amina's bright smile and the way her eyes lit up when she talked about helping others. Hope flickered inside Ria. If Amina could follow her dreams, maybe their friendship could find a new path too. Back home, Ria opened her laptop and searched for tutorials on video calls, social apps, and ways to send care packages overseas. She read about time zone differences and messaging tips. She learned how to record a short video on her phone and send it as a gift. With trembling hands, she filmed herself reading a poem they once loved, adding silly faces at the end. She pressed send before she could change her mind. Then she waited. The minutes crawled by. Her heart beat so loudly she could hardly concentrate on anything else. She paced from the living room to the kitchen, then back to her desk, checking her notifications. No reply. That evening, just as Ria was about to give up and turn off her phone, a small ding echoed through the room. Her heart leaped. She opened the message and saw not words, but a tiny video icon. She tapped it and saw Amina's familiar face, framed by sunlight streaming through a dormitory window. Amina smiled shyly, her eyes bright. "Ria," she said, her voice soft but clear. "I miss you so much. I've wanted to talk but didn't know how to start. Seeing your poem made my day." Ria felt tears spring into her eyes. The distance between them vanished in that moment. "I miss you too," Ria whispered to the screen. They spent the next hour talking, laughing, and sharing stories about their days. The ache in Ria's chest softened, replaced by warmth and hope. After the call ended, Ria sat with her phone pressed to her heart. She realized that even when people move far away, the bonds they form can endure. Humanity's strength was not in grand gestures or loud declarations, but in quiet acts of care and honest words that reached across oceans. Ria decided to send Amina small reminders of home, packets of her favorite tea, photos of their old hangouts, and a letter filled with memories. She knew that each package, each message, would carry a piece of her heart to Amina, and each reply would bring Amina's heart a little closer to hers. In the weeks that followed, Ria and Amina built a new routine. They had video breakfasts, shared playlists of their favorite songs, and even planned a trip together for the next summer. The distance remained, but it no longer felt empty. It felt like a bridge being built with every message and every call. Ria learned that hope was a choice she could make, even when sadness threatened to overwhelm her, by reaching out. She discovered that her HFY spirit, her belief in the power of human connection, could shine across any divide. And as she placed Amina's photo back on the shelf, smiling in a new frame, Ria knew their friendship was stronger than ever. Jonah stood at the edge of the pier each evening, watching the sun sink below the horizon. He held his phone tightly, scrolling through old voice messages from Eliza. Her laughter echoed softly in his ear, a sound that once filled his days with brightness. She lived across the ocean, chasing her dream of becoming an artist. Jonah felt a lump in his throat whenever he thought of her. The distance was more than miles. It was walls built by time zones, new routines, and unspoken doubts. Back in their hometown, Jonah and Eliza had been inseparable. They shared everything. Morning coffee at the little cafe, late-night talks about the future and plans to travel together after graduation. Then one day, Eliza had packed her bags and left. She sent a quick video on the airport runway, waving with excitement. Jonah forced a smile as he watched it, but inside, he felt hollow. He wanted to be happy for her, but he also missed the simple ease of their friendship. At first, they messaged every day. Lisa would send pictures of her studio and the paintings she worked on. Jonah would reply with jokes and stories about the small things, how his mother's soup was burning on the stove, or how his friends teased him for still playing video games. But as the weeks turned into months, her replies grew shorter. Pictures stopped coming, and Jonah's questions went unanswered. He stared at his phone at odd hours, hoping for a ping that never came. One rainy afternoon, Jonah sat at his desk staring at a blank email draft. He typed, "How are you doing?" Then he erased it. Typed again, "I miss you." He hesitated, then erased those words too. He felt lost. How could he reach out without sounding needy? How could he remind her of their bond when she had built a new life so far away? He closed his laptop with a sigh and wandered outside, letting the rain soak through his jacket. Jonah recalled a story he once read about humanity's greatest strength, resilience born from caring for each other. He thought about how humans across history had built bridges literally and figuratively to connect separated lands. He carried that thought like a spark in his chest. If people could cross rivers and deserts, he could cross the space between two hearts. He decided he would try again, but this time with something more personal than a message. He needed a bridge of memories. He gathered old photographs. The day they climbed the hill to watch the fireworks. The time they laughed so hard that rain soaked their hair, and the selfie they took on Elisa's first art show. He scanned them into his laptop and arranged them into a digital collage. Then he recorded his voice on each picture, sharing a memory and what it meant to him. It felt vulnerable, but it felt honest. That night, Jonah sent Eliza the collage as a file. His message read, "I found these memories and thought of you. I hope it makes you smile." He hit send before panic set in. For hours, he watched the screen, willing it to change. Every ticking second felt like an hour. Finally, his phone buzzed. A new email from Eliza appeared. His heart raced as he opened it. Her words glowed on the screen. "Jonah, this was the nicest gift I've gotten in a long time. I have been lonely here, and I was afraid you forgot me. Seeing our memories reminded me of home. Thank you for caring so much." Below her message was a new photo. Eliza standing in her studio, holding the collage printed on canvas. She had even painted around its edges. In that moment, Jonah felt warmth rush through him. The distance lay between two maps, but their friendship had its own map drawn by shared moments and honest hearts. They arranged a video call for the next day. Jonah sat in his room with the collage canvas behind him. On the screen, Elisa's face lit up when he entered. They spoke for hours, sharing not just updates but feelings they had hidden. Jonah admitted he had been afraid to reach out. Elisa confessed that she had felt guilty for moving away. They laughed and cried together, rediscovering the closeness they once had. After the call ended, Jonah placed the canvas on his desk. It stood as proof that hope could cross any distance. He realized that humanity's finest quality was the courage to be vulnerable, to show someone you care even when you risk silence. In the days that followed, they continued to exchange artwork, stories, and small surprises. The ocean still lay between them, but it no longer felt like a barrier. It felt like a path illuminated by human connection. Jonah smiled as he sent Eliza a message, "I'm proud of you," and he knew that this simple truth, spoken with hope and care, would echo across any distance they faced. Their friendship had bridged the gap, and their shared memories had built a road straight to the heart. Mia stood in her small garden, watching the first green shoots of spring break through the dark soil. Every morning she knelt by the flower bed and whispered to the plants, hoping they would grow strong. She cared for them as she had once cared for her friend Owen before he moved to another country to work with a wildlife sanctuary. Mia was proud of him, but her heart ached with every sunrise that brought no message from him. She felt distant, as though the wind carried his laughter away before it reached her. Now the garden was her refuge, and each tiny leaf reminded her of their shared dreams. In her quiet apartment, Mia opened a worn box filled with memories. Postcards they had exchanged as kids, photos of their camping trips, and a small wooden carving they made together. She ran her fingers over the smooth edges of the carving, a little bird perched on a branch. Owen had given it to her the day they watched birds at the lake. Mia clutched it to her chest and wondered how to bridge the miles between them. She typed a message to him, then deleted it. Words felt inadequate to express the distance inside her. That evening, Mia sat by her desk with pen and paper, determined to try something different. She wrote a letter, simple and honest. I miss you, Owen. I miss our talks under the stars and our shared laughter. I don't know the best way to reach you, but I want you to know I still care. She folded the paper, placed it in an envelope, and sealed it. Then she took seed packets sunflower, lavender, and wild grasses and tucked them inside. She wrote on the envelope's back, "Plant these when you feel lonely. I'll plant mine too, and we'll grow side by side." With hope fluttering in her chest, she mailed it. Days passed with no reply. Mia tended her garden each morning, planting the seeds she had saved for herself. She talked to them as she watered, "Grow tall, be brave, and keep hope alive." At night, she gazed at the stars, imagining Owen doing the same. The silence from him felt heavy, but she believed in humanity's strength to connect across any barrier. If people could send rockets into space, she thought, they could send care across oceans. One afternoon, a small envelope arrived in Mia's mailbox. Her heart skipped as she recognized Owen's handwriting. Inside was a letter and a pressed leaf from a rare tree he had cared for at the sanctuary. He wrote, "Mia, your letter moved me more than I can say. I have waited for courage to speak my heart. I planted the seeds you sent me under the open sky. I watched them grow and thought of you every day. Sanctuary is beautiful, but it feels empty without our shared stories." He enclosed a photograph, a young sunflower glowing in the sunlight, its petals bright as hope. Mia's eyes filled with tears of relief. That night, Mia arranged her own seeds in neat rows in the garden, planting sunflowers next to lavender and wild grasses. She imagined Owen's sunflower standing tall overseas, mirroring hers. She whispered to the new shoots, "Grow together, even apart." The thought filled her with warmth. She wrote back to him, sharing tales of spring rains and the birds that visited her garden, promising to send more photos and letters. She sent a small sketch of her favorite bird, drawn with care. In the weeks that followed, their letters flew back and forth like migrating birds. Owen's stories of rescued animals and wild landscapes mixed with Mia's tales of blooming flowers and evening skies. Each letter carried a piece of their hearts, crossing borders in both directions. Mia realized that distance could not erase the bond they shared. Instead, it gave their friendship new depth, rooted in effort and faith. Humanity's power, she saw, lay in simple acts of kindness and the courage to reach out. When summer arrived, Mia stood again at her garden's edge. The sunflowers towered above her, their faces turned toward the sky. She smiled, knowing that Owen's sunflower stood tall as well. She picked a single lavender sprig and held it close, breathing in its scent. Across the world, Owen would do the same. In that shared moment, they were together. Mia felt hope blossom inside her like a sunflower, bright and unwavering. Their friendship had grown stronger through distance, proving that caring hearts could bridge any gap. Oliver pressed his hand against the cool glass of his bedroom window and watched the streetlights flicker on. Every evening he did this, waiting for a message from his sister Emma, who had moved 3 time zones away to work at a children's hospital. He missed her voice, her laughter, and the way she always knew what to say when he felt low. Now the nights felt empty, and each glow of a screen he held gave him a tiny spark of hope, only to fade when he saw that no new message had come. He tried to think of ways to reach her. He wrote letters in his notebook, each page full of memories. Their childhood forts in the backyard, the shared umbrella in sudden rain, the secret jokes that made them laugh until they cried. He never sent those letters. They felt too long, too heavy. Instead, he stared at the blank envelopes on his desk, unsure what to write. Words failed him when he most needed them. One morning, Oliver found an old game console in the closet. And Emma used to play video games together for hours, cheering each other on. He cleaned it, charged the controllers, connected it to his TV. Then he recorded a short video of himself playing their favorite game, speaking into the camera. "Hey, Emma, I tried this again. Remember how you always beat me by 1 point? I'm getting better." He included a small drawing of the two of them, side by side, controller in hand. His heart pounded as he uploaded the video to the private link he knew Emma would see. Past Oliver checked his email first thing, every morning, and again before bed. Nothing arrived. He felt the pull of disappointment, like gravity sinking him deeper into doubt. Was Emma too busy? Had she forgotten him? His chest tightened. But then he reminded himself of the human spirit, resilient, caring, persistent. Probes to distant planets, he could send his care across the miles. He refused to give up. After school one afternoon, Oliver gathered items to send in a small box, a packet of Emma's favorite hot chocolate mix, a bookmark he'd carved in wood, and a printed screenshot of his best game score. He tucked in a short note. "I miss you. I'm proud of you. Let's play together soon." He sealed the box and dropped it at the post office. When he returned home, he felt lighter, as though each step had lifted a weight from his shoulders. That evening, he received a notification, an email from Emma. His hands shook as he opened it. She wrote that she had been overwhelmed by work and guilt for leaving him behind. She had watched his video but didn't know how to answer. Seeing his drawing in the game clip made her laugh and cry. She promised she would play with him soon, at least, and that she had never forgotten their bond. A week later, Oliver and Emma logged on to their game. The familiar opening song played, and they greeted each other with shy smiles through their headsets. He counted down and they pressed start together. As the game began, their laughter filled their separate rooms. The sound felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Oliver realized that even when people move away, they carry a part of home within them, and you can bring that peace back with a simple act of reaching out. After the match, they spoke on video call. Emma held up an old photo of them at a family picnic, both grinning with chocolate on their faces. Oliver recognized the moment and felt tears of joy slip down his cheeks. They planned regular game nights and decided to share small gifts by mail. Each promise became a bridge over the distance between them. That night, Oliver returned to his window. The street was quiet, but his heart was calm. He pressed his palm to the glass and imagined Emma doing the same in her new city. He smiled, knowing their hands rested there together across the miles. Humanity's power lay in these simple connections. A video game challenge, a shared photo, a heartfelt message. Hope grew inside him like a sunrise, promising that no distance could dim their bond. And as he turned away from the window, he felt closer to Emma than he had in months. Alina sat on the edge of the cliff path, watching the ocean waves below. A cool breeze ruffled her hair as she held her sketchbook on her lap, its pages filled with half-finished drawings. Each pencil stroke reminded her of Jonah, her childhood, a friend who had moved 2 countries away to study marine biology. She missed him terribly. The days felt quieter without his voice. She longed to reconnect, but did not know where to begin. In their town, Alina and Jonah had spent every summer exploring tide pools and drawing sea creatures together. They shared dreams of saving the oceans and made plans to build an underwater research lab. Then Jonah left. He sent one postcard full of promise and excitement, but after that, the postcards stopped. Lena kept the first one pinned above her desk, a simple sketch of a starfish with Jonah's neat handwriting. She looked at it now and felt a hollow ache in her chest. At home later that day, Alina flipped through her sketchbook. The pages showed crabs with tiny eyes, clams nestled in sand, and seaweed drifting like dancers. She tapped her pencil on the page and thought of Jonah's sketches, the way he could bring sea creatures to life. She wanted to send him something that would remind him of their bond, something more than a postcard, something that could travel with him into his new world. Alina decided to draw a comic strip about their favorite tide pool adventures. She sketched them as two tiny explorers in diving masks, discovering a hidden cave filled with glowing fish. She added simple captions. "We are brave, we are curious, and we are friends." She drew each frame in bold lines and bright colors, trying to capture the joy they once shared. When she finished, she felt a spark of hope. She scanned the comic into her laptop and learned about free online services that send printed books worldwide. Alina chose one that offered fast shipping and uploaded her comic as a small paperback. She wrote a short message on the book's cover page. "For Jonah So, our underwater world never drifts apart." Then she arranged for delivery to his university address. Days passed in slow motion. Alina checked the tracking number each morning before breakfast and each night before bed. She watered the succulent on her windowsill and whispered, "Grow strong, like our friendship." The succulent stood firm, its thick leaves shining green in the sunlight. She thought that if a plant could thrive through drought, her hope could survive distance too. One afternoon when Alina returned home from school, she found a small package waiting at her door. It was not her comic she knew that would take longer. This package was from Jonah. Her heart pounded as she opened it. Inside was a slender notebook with a sea blue cover and Jonah's name written in white. Oh. She flipped it open to find a handwritten note. "Alina, your comic arrived. It made me laugh and cry. I've missed our adventures more than I realized. I started drawing again, inspired by your art. Enclosed are some of my latest sketches: sea turtles, dolphins, and a map of my new research site. I hope this keeps us close. Always your friend, Jonah." Tucked beneath the note were several folded pages. Alina unfolded them carefully. The first sketch showed a sea turtle gliding through clear water. The second showed Jonah wading into a shallow cove, net in hand, careful and gentle. The final page was a map, a coastline dotted with tide pools and marked our lab with a question mark. Alina's eyes filled with tears of joy. That night, Alina sat at her desk with Jonah's sketches spread before her. She reached for her pen and drew a new frame in her sketchbook. Two small figures standing on opposite cliffs, connected by a rope made of twisting seaweed. Beneath it, she wrote, "Hope binds us together." She smiled, feeling something blossom. Inside her, over the next weeks, Alina and Jonah exchanged drawings, plans, and messages. They used video calls to share screens and trace sketches together. Alina mailed small packages of colored pencils and stickers to Jonah while he sent her shells and samples from the ocean floor. Each gift carried a piece of their world to the other. The miles between them remained, but their friendship grew deeper. One morning, Alina woke to a message on her phone, a photo of Jonah holding a printed copy of her comic in his lab, surrounded by beakers and microscopes. He wrote, "Let's start our lab here. I'll visit in the summer, and we'll build it together." Alina's heart soared. She looked at her succulent, now blooming with tiny white flowers, and whispered, "We did it." Alina closed her sketchbook with a contented sigh. She had reached across the ocean with art and hope, and Jonah had grabbed her hand on the other, sighed. They had proven that human kindness, creativity, and persistence, humanity's finest qualities, could bridge any distance. And as she packed her backpack for the day, she knew that no matter how far people moved, shared dreams and caring hearts would always keep them close. Caleb stood in the small studio apartment and ran his fingers over the old guitar resting. In the corner, he and his brother, Aaron, had learned to play together every evening after dinner. They laughed when they hit the wrong chord and cheered each other on as they learned new songs. Then Aaron had moved to countries away to join a music program. Caleb was proud of him, but he felt a hollow ache each time he picked up the guitar. The strings were silent without his brother by his side. Every night, Caleb tried to think of a way to reach Aaron. He opened his phone and stared at the contact name. He wrote a message. "Hey Aaron, how are you?" But deleted it. He felt silly asking a question so plain. He wanted something more, something that would remind Aaron of home. He remembered their late-night jam sessions and how they had dreamed of playing on big stages together. But words froze on his screen. He did not know how to begin. The next afternoon, Caleb walked through the city park where he and Aaron used to play. He watched a street musician strum a tune on his guitar case, open for coins. The music felt bittersweet. Caleb dropped $1 into the case and smiled at the musician. Then he sat on a bench and closed his eyes, listening. He thought of Aaron's bright grin when he nailed a tough chord. He thought of the way their music grew stronger when they played as one. He knew he had to try again to connect. Back home, Caleb decided to record a song. It did not have to be perfect. He tuned the guitar and pressed record on his laptop. He started with a soft melody, simple notes that reminded him of their first practice. Then he sang a few lines they had written together in a notebook. His voice wavered at first, but he kept going until he played the last chord. He watched the video and felt a small spark of hope. It sounded like home. He sent the file to Aaron with a short note. "I made this for you. I miss our music." Then he waited. The next day, Caleb checked his email every hour. At night, he turned off the lights and lay in bed listening for his phone to buzz. He felt anxious, but he reminded himself of humanity's power to bridge gaps. If people could share music across the world, he could share his care. 3 days later, Caleb's phone chimed with a new message. His heart pounded as he opened it. Aaron had sent back a video clip. Screen showed waving palm trees. Behind him and Aaron strumming the song Caleb had sent. His brother's face was bright with a wide smile. "I learned this chord progression," Aaron said. "I added my own verse. Let's play together soon, even if it's online." Caleb's eyes filled with tears as the distance between them vanished in that moment. They set up an online jam session for the next evening. Caleb cleared space in his studio, placed the laptop on a stool, and plugged in his guitar. When Aaron appeared on the screen, Caleb felt his heart swell. They counted in together and began to play. Their notes mingled across the internet, carrying the same spark they had felt in the park. They laughed when they missed a beat and cheered when they hit a high note. For 1 hour, the miles between them melted away. After the session, Caleb and Aaron spoke quietly. Aaron showed Caleb the new school where he practiced. Caleb gave a virtual tour of his studio, pointing to the posters they had collected at their first concert together. They made plans to write a new song about their reunion, a melody that would carry their hope. Caleb closed his eyes and listened to Aaron's voice on the line, felt his sadness lift like a fog in the morning sun. In the days that followed, Caleb and Aaron stuck to their new routine. They met online every evening to practice songs, share ideas, and talk about their days. Caleb mailed a small box to Aaron filled with guitar picks, a handwritten lyric sheet, and a photo of them at their first recital. He wrote in the card for the best brother and bandmate. A week later, he received a box in return, a homemade pickguard for his guitar, painted with their shared logo, and a note, "Can't wait to see you soon." One night, after their practice, Caleb sat back and looked at his guitar with new eyes. The strings now held the promise of future concerts and shared tunes. He realized that even when people move far away, the bonds they formed can stay strong. Humanity's best quality was the courage to reach out, to share a song that carried heart and hope. Caleb picked up the guitar and strummed the opening chords of their new song. The melody felt bright and full of promise. He knew that no distance could silence their music. Their harmony would always bring them back together. Nina sat by the window each morning, watching the sky turn pink as the sun rose. Her best friend, Leo, had moved to another continent 6 months ago. Every dawn reminded her of their early walks together, when they chased clouds and shared dreams. Now, the sky felt empty without his laughter beside her. Nina held her mug of tea and stared at its steam, wondering how to bring Leo back into her life. She felt sad and alone, but deep inside, she knew humans could find new ways to reconnect, no matter the distance. At school, Nina and Leo had been inseparable. They built paper airplanes and raced them down the hall. They whispered secrets under the old oak tree in the courtyard. Leo had always cheered Nina on, telling her she could achieve anything. When he left, Nina lost her spark. Class felt dull without him, and notes from him grew shorter over time. She reread his old messages on her phone, smiling at his jokes, but also feeling a pang of loss. She longed for a real conversation, not just short texts. One afternoon, Nina mustered her courage and opened her laptop. She stared at the blank screen of a video call app. Her fingers trembled as she clicked on Leo's name. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. She left a simple message. "Hi, Leo. I miss you." After hanging up, her heart raced. She wanted more than a bland greeting. She wanted to share something real, something that would remind him of their friendship and give hope every time. She tried. The words felt weak. That evening, Nina remembered a story she read about humans on Earth sending messages attached to weather balloons, reaching high into the sky. If they could send care into the clouds, she thought, she could send a piece of her heart across the world. Inspired, she gathered colored paper, glitter, and string. She wrote short notes on each paper. "I believe in you. Remember our oak tree, you were brave." She decorated each note with doodles of airplanes and stars. Then she tied the notes to colorful balloons, one for each memory. The next morning, Nina walked to the hill behind her house. The air was crisp, and dew sparkled on the grass. She held the balloons tightly and took a deep breath. As she released them, the wind caught their strings and carried them upward. Nina watched until they were tiny dots in the sky. She whispered, "Let these reach you, Leo." Inside her chest, she felt a flutter of hope, believed that even if Leo did not physically catch the balloons, he would feel the care they carried. Days passed slowly. Nina checked her phone constantly, hoping for a message from Leo. At times, doubt crept in. What if he thought her idea silly? What if he had moved on? But she remembered how humans had used light signals, fireworks, and radio to speak across oceans. She refused to give up. Each night, she wrote in her journal about her day, finishing with, "I am proud of us." She sent the journal to Leo's address. Too large for a balloon, but small enough for the mail. One afternoon, Nina's phone finally buzzed. It was a photo from Leo. He stood in his backyard holding one of her colorful balloons, deflated now. But with her note still tied to its string, his smile was wide, and in the background, she saw his new garden. The caption read, "These found me. I carried your hopes with me." Underneath, he wrote, "I have missed you more than I realized. Your balloons reminded me of our dreams. Thank you for reaching out. Let's plan a video call this weekend and share stories again." That evening, Nina and Leo logged on at the same time, despite the hour difference. They greeted each other with shy waves and broad smiles. They talked for hours about school, work, new friends, and old jokes. Leo showed her the balloon still tied to his fence post, and Nina showed him a new drawing of clouds and paper airplanes. Their voices sounded like sunshine after a storm, warming Nina's heart. As the call ended, Nina looked at her room, once dim and quiet. Now she felt a glow inside, like the first light of dawn. She realized that human creativity and care could bridge any gap. Sending balloons, letters, and simple words had brought her friend back near. Hope, she learned, is like those balloons, fragile but able to rise if we give it a chance. And as Nina turned off her computer, she knew that no matter how far people move, the bonds we build can travel any distance. Ethan sat at the edge of the rooftop garden, looking out at the city lights. He held a small ceramic pot in his hands, its surface painted with bright yellow sunflowers. He and his cousin Maya used to tend this very garden together. Then Maya moved across the ocean to join a mountain research team. Ethan was proud of her work, but he missed her laughter echoing among the plants. Now every evening felt too quiet. He thought of the day Maya left. She hugged him tight and whispered, "Keep our garden alive for me." After she departed, Ethan watered the flowers faithfully, but their petals drooped as if they missed her too. He tried messaging her on social apps, but her replies were few and short. She was busy with early mornings on the mountains and late nights in the lab. Ethan understood, yet his heart ached with the silence between their worlds. One afternoon, he wandered through the local nursery and spotted a small packet of alpine wildflower seeds. He remembered how Maya had described those flowers growing on rocky slopes where she worked. An idea sparked inside him. He would send her a reminder of home, and he would grow a reminder of her world here. He bought 2 packets, one for her mountains and one for his rooftop hand, tucked them into his jacket pocket. At home, Ethan mixed fresh soil into 2 pots, labeled one city sky and the other mountain air. He sprinkled a handful of sunflower seeds into the first pot, then gently pressed the wildflower seeds into the second. He whispered to each, "Grow strong, grow bright." He photographed both pots under the soft afternoon sun and prepared an email. He wrote, "Dear Maya, I've planted your mountain flowers here and mine for you. When they bloom, they will meet. Halfway?" He attached the photo and clicked send. Days passed like gentle rain. Ethan cared for both pots every morning. He watered them and spoke to them softly, telling stories of Maya's childhood visits and the adventures they shared. At night, he stared at his phone, longing for her reply. Doubt crept in. What if she thought his idea silly? What if she was too busy to notice? But each time he remembered humanity's best gift, hope born from small acts of care. One sunrise, Ethan discovered tiny green shoots in both pots. His heart lifted as he watched the delicate stems push through the soil. He photographed them again and sent Maya a quick message. "Look, they're awake." He held his breath all day. Evening, his phone finally buzzed. Maya's reply glowed on the screen. "Ethan, this is beautiful. I saw the shoots this morning too. Thank you for sending me your sunflowers. I've planted them beside my research station. Let's talk soon." Ethan's chest filled with warmth. They arranged a video call for the next day, on the rooftop. He set up his laptop among the pots. On the screen, Maya appeared with her own pots behind her, a cluster of young sunflowers and wildflowers swaying in a breeze. When they saw each other, Ethan and Maya smiled so wide that their eyes shone. They talked for hours, sharing the stories they had missed. Maya showed how tiny mountain wildflowers grew between rocky crevices. Ethan showed bees visiting his pots. For nectar, they laughed about the time they accidentally overwatered a cactus and learned the hard way. They promised to send each other photos whenever they saw new blossoms or bees. Their shared project had built a bridge between continents. After the call, Ethan sat in the quiet night, but he felt anything but alone. He looked at the 2 pots side by side and whispered, "We found our way back." He realized that even when people move far away, the human heart can reach across any distance. With simple seeds and hopeful messages, he and Maya had made a new kind of garden, one that grew with their care and connected their worlds. Over the weeks that followed, their plants flourished. Ethan's sunflowers lifted golden faces toward the sky, while the mountain wildflowers opened in clusters of purple and white. Maya sent soil samples and mountain rocks for his garden, and Ethan mailed packets of local birdseed for hers. Each parcel carried more than objects. They carried pieces of home and heart. One morning, Ethan woke early to find a single sunflower petal had fallen into the pot of wildflowers. He picked up the petal and held it gently. It felt like a gift. He smiled, knowing that their blossoms would one day greet each other in person when Maya returned. Until then, they would nurture their shared garden of hope as the city morning. Light touched his blooms. Ethan knew that human kindness and creative care could keep hearts close, no matter how far apart they seem.